Welcome everyone to the #1 DeFi podcast on YouTube. In today's video or in today's live stream, we're going to be talking about everything that has been going on with the market these last couple days. So I do want to go ahead and say welcome everyone. I already see we have a few viewers here. Go ahead and smash that like button, comment down below. Most importantly, turn on post notifications. Remember, we go live twice a week. But what a week it has been, right? We came from a long 3-day weekend, and Monday wasn't too well, but as I mentioned, because the markets were closed, and today markets are looking a lot better. I take that back. Monday, the markets weren't closed. It was Friday, the markets were closed. Rubio, how's it going? Welcome in. Hello. So as you guys see right here on Crypto Bubbles, just quite a lot of things to talk about, right? We have a lot of things to talk about. I came across a few articles that I wanted to go ahead and share. Most importantly, I want to go ahead and look more into the charts. I think there's more data for us to look at. Some very, very important things. Things are looking very, very positive. I do not want to get overly excited with myself just yet, but things are definitely looking a lot better than they have been for the past few months. And that says a lot, right? So let's go ahead and start off as we usually do with Crypto Bubbles. On the weekly, as you see all across the board, we do see some tokens doing very well. Hype, CAS, Tau up 46%, IMX up over 42%, and STX almost 40%. And of course, SUI 29%. And the other one that's been talked about a lot too has been that fart coin, which I haven't dabbled into. Seems to be a meme coin, but let's go ahead and take a look at what the daily looks like. Daily, same thing with the daily all across the board. Things are looking good. We could go ahead and say that roughly we've seen about a 20% increase all across the board with a lot of excitement going on with the market. Let's go ahead and take a look at the hourly, and looking at the hourly, we do see that on the hourly, a little bit on the neutral side, right? This is usually during the time when the market starts to cool down quite a bit. Rubio says, I didn't know it shows my name. Nick, man, crazy. My name is Armando. How's it going, Armando? So let's go ahead and switch over to what I wanted to go ahead and talk about a little bit today. So in the last 24 hours, over 145,000 traders were liquidated. A total of $619 million wiped out of the market. The largest single liquidation happened on Binance, which was ETH USDT, which values at $4.33 million. So looking at the charts, we do see that Bitcoin has ran up quite a bit. And before we go into that, let's go ahead and talk about some articles about what has been going on with the market. Let me go ahead and slightly fix my camera before we go into the charts. But let's go ahead and start off with this recent report that I came across. Tesla is holding about $1 million in crypto holdings as it misses earnings. I don't think the earnings really matters to us too much, but I just wanted to go ahead and show all of you that Tesla is a pretty big holder in Bitcoin. And I believe that's where a lot of the excitement also will be coming in with their stock. Very similar to MicroStrategy, the stock. That one tends to move very similar to Bitcoin. Not sure if Tesla is doing that. I haven't personally tracked it, but Tesla has given us some really, really nice corrections too, with over 30 to 40%. I think it was almost roughly a little bit over 40%, depending on where you're looking at it from, right? So wanted to go ahead and share that. And it tells you right here, Tesla holds 1 million. So we're going to go ahead and close that off. Another thing I wanted to go ahead and talk about. So the stablecoin giant Circle, for all of you that might not know, Circle is the company that created USDC, which is one of the largest stablecoins that we use, and we have been using in the last couple of years in crypto. They actually went ahead and announced that they will go ahead and be having some sort of new payment doing with cross-border transactions. They're looking to go ahead and compete with those other fintech giants such as MasterCard and Visa. So we're going to go ahead and see how that goes. But as you see, Circle, the firm, is the company behind USDC, which is $60 billion. Is looking to go ahead and launch new payments, cross-border remittance network on Tuesday, the company's next product move. And then it tells you that's pretty much it. But yeah, I thought I wanted to go ahead and share that. Another article that I thought was pretty important. Trump's media is launching a string of made in America ETFs with a partnership with crypto.com. This is not really new news. This is actually quite old. This is something we talked about in the last, I would say, month, if I'm not mistaken. When crypto.com and Trump media went ahead and did that partnership too, as I just mentioned, to launch this Made in America ETFs, which should be rolling out very, very soon. So it looks like Trump's team's really going at it with the whole entire crypto thing. And one of the biggest things that I've been mentioning these last couple weeks, if you guys were in my office hours, I've also mentioned it on the live stream as well, that Trump's team also launched their stablecoin. Remember how we talked about how their stablecoin wasn't live? Well, Trump's token is now officially live, a stablecoin. It is called USD1. You can go ahead and look it up on CoinMarketCap, take a look at it, and see. It hasn't been publicly announced, but as you see currently right now, with a market cap of over 128 million, 24-hour volume at 34 million, with a surge of 160% on just the 24-hour volume. I haven't really come across anything with Trump's token or stablecoin token as far as any kind of liquidity pools or any of that. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really done any research directly to see if there's any. I will definitely look more into that because this just recently launched about literally 7 days ago. Still, no public announcement has been made as far for the USD1, which is a stablecoin that we were talking about, I think, a little bit over a month ago. And as I mentioned, as we see, most of the liquidity is on Binance Smart Chain. That should be to no surprise. We do see that there's over, at least, just alone on the volume, we do see that there's over $30 million plus on PancakeSwap. With the rest of the funds being in Uniswap version 3 on Ethereum. So his token is running on Binance Smart Chain and on Ethereum as well. It looks like also Change Now might be holding this token now. You could actually probably purchase it. I got to look into that. But as I mentioned, this has been news that hasn't been publicly announced. So I'm pretty sure not that many people know about this. Not that many people are aware of Trump's stablecoin, especially being the fact that they finally provided liquidity about 7 days ago. So we're going to go ahead and see if there's any kind of good liquidity pools that come across. I'll keep you guys all updated if I come across anything. But when you go over to the website right here, it just takes you straight to the World Liberty Finance website, and that's pretty much it. So there's not really much information into it. I tried looking for other articles talking about this announcement happening. As I mentioned, it's more of like a quiet launch. This is one of the main reasons why I was talking with Tristan about this on last week's podcast as well. And we talked about how it's pretty interesting how the market was being super, super bearish and red in the meantime, as we saw Trump's team collaborate with other companies and then providing liquidity to his token. Not that that means anything, but just saying that if the market was to go ahead and look bad, there wouldn't be those kind of moves. Now, which is really, really interesting. Now we're seeing a bounce in the market, which we're going to go ahead and talk about deeply, because even meme coins right now and the lower cap tokens all across the board, over 20, even some of them 50%. But we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. I want to look more into the charts with Bitcoin and things like that, but let's go ahead and read some comments right here. I see Armando says, can I still on time to dab on SUI or am I late? Another question, what is an ETF? ETFs are basically just funds that you could go ahead and purchase directly on like the stock market. So like, let's say, for example, if you want to have exposure to Bitcoin, the way you would go ahead and have exposure to Bitcoin is through a Bitcoin ETF. So just look at it as a fund. That's basically what it is basically allowing you to have that exposure to that asset class. There's actually quite a few Bitcoin ETFs already. So if you want to go ahead and contribute to your 401k or your Roth IRA, you could go ahead and have exposure to these crypto assets within an ETF, which most of them are already, which most of the ETFs, the major ones like Bitcoin, you could find Ethereum, you could find on most of your brokers. And then there's, of course, other brokers that have their different kind of ETF. For example, Grayscale starts with a G, so it's like GBTC or something like that. So that stands for like Grayscale Bitcoin. But yeah, that's a really good question. And then Peace is asking a question. What is the name of Trump's new stablecoin? So his new stablecoin is called USD1. So let me go ahead and pull that up for you again. So all you have to do is go over to coinmarketcap.com, which is basically almost like a dictionary of where you could go ahead and find information about tokens. And you go over right here on the search and you just type in USD1. Now, the only reason why I know about this is because I've been tracking this like a hawk. I've announced and talked about this stablecoin launch happening about a month ago. I told everyone I was going to keep my eyes very, very closely to this. And that's how I know this is a token. It has been, there is articles you could actually go ahead and find about Trump's team announcing that they will be going live with a token called USD1, which is supposed to be backed by US reserves and other cash assets. And yeah, I just basically been tracking it like a hawk. So a few days ago, that's when I went ahead and noticed last week, to be exact, when liquidity was provided. As I mentioned, it has not been announced. There has been no article. You could go ahead and try to look it up and you won't really find much. But if you do go ahead and type in USD1 Trump stablecoin, you will find articles because he has announced it, and this was back in March. As I mentioned, I've been talking about the stablecoin for quite a long time, and as you see, this was actually publicly announced. Trump-backed crypto bank joins stablecoin wars with new dollar-pegged token. World Liberty Financial, the decentralized finance venture backed by President Donald Trump and his family, have launched a stablecoin. The stablecoin is USD1, which will be pegged to the US dollar and be backed by short-term US government treasuries, US dollar deposits, and other cash equivalents. And one of the main reasons, as I mentioned, is due to the fact that, as we see, and it even tells you right here, stablecoins have been seeing a growth of over 46% in the last year. So this is one of the main reasons why we talked about why there's a high probability that his team is getting exposure to USD1 or stablecoins, if you want to call it, due to the fact that USDC and USDT have been very, very profitable companies, bringing in billions of dollars. And this is one of the main reasons why I believe they went ahead and launched their token. Now, what is this token going to do? Is there any difference between a USDC, USDT? As of right now, not much has been announced, as I mentioned. This literally just got updated a few days ago with everything up to date. And we talked about how his team was also in contact with Binance, Binance US in specific, to possibly strike some sort of deal. And it brings in no surprise that, if you've noticed, most of the liquidity is on Binance Smart Chain, which is BNB, which is Binance's, the exchange, what is it called? Blockchain. So there's a lot of things going back and forth. I think probably my speculation is probably the first exchange is going to list this token is going to be Binance, because there's a lot of liquidity on the Binance Smart Chain. Like, why would he go ahead and do that, right? So there's definitely something going on there in the background that we don't know of yet. As I mentioned, that's where most of the liquidity is currently at. But there has been nothing announced just yet. I haven't come across any pools. As I mentioned, liquidity just got added a few days ago. So I'll keep you guys updated if I see anything. It'd be really, really nice to see a lot of DeFi pools providing liquidity to this new stablecoin. Let's go ahead and read some comments before we go into a few other news. Is it a good time to buy on a native exchange, USD1? So you can't buy USD1 on like Coinbase or Crypto.com or any of that. You would have to go ahead and go on a swap, which is Uniswap, PancakeSwap, and make that purchase. I could walk you guys through very quickly if you guys want to take a look at how that would look like. Of course, not financial advice, but I could quickly show you guys how to do that here. Let's go ahead and read the next comment. For peace, is USD1 on Solana blockchain like the Trump coin? No. So USD1 and the Trump coin are two different tokens. The Trump token is more of like a meme coin. This one is a stable coin, very similar to USDC. So this one's running on the Ethereum and the Binance Smart Chain blockchain. So let's go ahead and walk you guys through of what this would look like if you guys were interested into purchasing some World Liberty Finance USD1. You would go over to my favorite platform is called sushi.com. This is a decentralized exchange where you could go ahead and buy tokens. This is how you buy tokens before they get listed on major exchanges. So if you guys are not familiar with this, highly recommend you guys click the link down below in the description, where we have also a free community where you could go ahead and check out, where we could go ahead and show you how to do this. But with that being said, what you would then go ahead and do is you would go over to CoinMarketCap. You would head over to the contract, which is right here, which says contracts. You would click this. You would go over to Sushi. You would, of course, connect your wallet. This is on the Ethereum chain. So we would just go ahead and, let's say for this example, we would go ahead and select this. We would go ahead and paste the address, which is USD1. We would select import. We would select import anyways. And then we would just go ahead and purchase the amount. Let's say I wanted to go ahead and buy that much, $1,700 worth of USD1. I would just go ahead and click swap. And that's it. That's how you purchase USD1 if that is something you're interested in. For all of you that have used a swap before, decentralized exchange, you should have no problem doing that. But with that being said, let's go ahead and take a look into a little bit of more details into what has been going on with other crypto assets. So we've actually been seeing a lot of inflows coming in for Ethereum, as well as Base. Base has been doing very well these last couple months. This is in a 3-month period. Now let's go ahead and see what the 1 month looks like. 1 month, surprisingly, a lot of action and a lot of activity going on with Arbitrum. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 7-day. 7 days Unichain. That's surprisingly. I know they came out with their new blockchain. I haven't really dabbled into it. I got to look more into it. But as you guys see on the 3-month time frame, top inflows are, of course, Ethereum being number 1, and second being Base, which is a layer 2, which is Coinbase's own blockchain. Surprising, you know what? It's really surprisingly is the fact that Solana is in the bottom. Like, it's all over here. Like, Solana has been the top chain when it comes to, you know, a lot of DeFi things. But of course, Base has been performing very well. And this is something that myself and also Tristan and a few other mentors have been pretty big believers when it comes to the Base chain, which is layer 2 to Ethereum, right? I personally love Base. It's amazing. I like the token itself. Well, they don't have a token, so the blockchain itself. The gas fees are very inexpensive, very smooth. They have a lot of opportunities there as well. So for me personally, I've been a big fan when it comes to Base and Arbitrum because they do offer a lot of DeFi pools, really, really good DeFi pools, a lot of good yields. You could go over to Harvest, earn some really good returns on stable coins, earning up to 8% APY with very low risk. So for me personally, I've always liked Base, Arbitrum as well, but I would prefer Base just because there's a little bit more growth in my opinion when it comes to that. And Barachain, of course, it's a brand new blockchain that just came out a few months ago, which has been picking up a lot of traction. But it's really interesting to see that where most of the deposits are coming in. And as we can see, a lot of activity has been going on Base. I've been betting on Base. The best way to have exposure to Base, since there isn't a token just yet, would be investing into tokens such as Aerodrome, meme tokens, which are very, very high risk, or being exposed to DeFi protocols that enable you to be on the Base chain. So hopefully that doesn't sound too confusing for many of you, but to keep it very, very simple, Base is a brand new blockchain, and there has been a lot of activity going on there. So I've been a big believer in that. And as I mentioned, the token you might want to consider checking out if you want to know how to have exposure to Base, which you could actually go ahead and purchase on a centralized exchange. Most of them, one, for example, would be Coinbase. You can just go ahead and type in AERO, which is Aerodrome Finance. And this platform right here is a decentralized exchange, basically. This is where you can go ahead and swap tokens. So if you want to have exposure to the Base chain, and basically what I just showed you how to do, how to buy a token, this is where you're able to go ahead and do that. And you could actually go ahead and provide liquidity right here directly as well. So what other platform is there to invest that has this kind of exposure with, in my opinion, some pretty good upside? Now, this token has retraced quite a bit, so keep that in mind. But as you see right here, some pretty good returns. One of them being Wrap ETH USDC right here at around 3,500% APR, which is really, really nice. And you also see Wrap ETH CBBTC. For all of you that might not know what CBBTC is Coinbase Bitcoin. So it's Bitcoin on the Base chain. So a lot of opportunities on this chain. As I mentioned, this is what they're doing to incentivize more people to have exposure to the Base chain. And Aerodrome is one of the best ways, in my opinion, to have exposure to the Base chain just by holding on to the token. As you see right here in the 24-hour volume, we have been seeing a 42% increase with overall today a 15% on the token. Token has retraced quite a bit, but it looks like we could be coming into a buying opportunity for those that have not been exposed to the market. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and look into what is very, very important, right? Let's look into the charts. I'm gonna keep it very, very simple for all of you. I do not want to overcomplicate it, but this is actually what I wouldn't say drew out, but I went ahead and used a tool to go ahead and copy other these other candlesticks to kind of get a visual look of what the market could be potentially doing. And actually went ahead and did a lot better than I expected. So let's go ahead and delete that. Let's get that out of the way. Let's clean up our charts. And I'm going to go ahead and try to keep it as simple as possible so we could all get a better understanding of what's going on in the market and whether we should be investing in the market, right? Let's go ahead and start off with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ is very important, as I mentioned, every time we talk about the market. The NASDAQ has been following Bitcoin, or should I say Bitcoin has been following the NASDAQ literally 1-to-1. Every time the NASDAQ tops, Bitcoin tops. I could go ahead and show you that. Let me go ahead and quickly pull a chart of Bitcoin right here to the side. So right now I'm pulling Bitcoin. So this is a Bitcoin chart right here. So as you guys all see right here, this is where Bitcoin topped. This is where the NASDAQ topped. This is where the NASDAQ is currently at. This is where Bitcoin is at. So Bitcoin's actually now showing a little bit more bullish momentum as opposed to the NASDAQ. It looks like Bitcoin right now is front running the NASDAQ. So it's actually doing a little bit more than what the NASDAQ should be doing. But we talked about a very, very important pattern, guys. And I'll go a little bit more into that pattern right now. But let's go ahead and talk about what's going on with the NASDAQ overall before I talk about that important pattern, because it looks like it's broken out. And it looks very, very positive. Now, as I mentioned, I wanted to try to stay as neutral as possible. I do not want to get too excited just yet, because remember, guys, we need to stay in control of our emotions in the markets. As much as I want to just aggressively throw money into the market now, it's still not a confirmation that the bottom is in, unfortunately. So I'm sorry to bust your bubble. But if we take a look at the NASDAQ, and we'll also take a look at Bitcoin, we still see the NASDAQ still hasn't broken down out of a downtrend. So basically saying that there's still a lot of selling pressure coming in, and we still need to go ahead and see this breakout out of the out on the NASDAQ in order to go ahead and start seeing a reversal in the market. Now, what I could go ahead and say positively is that we are looking like we're about to break that, right? So what I really want to go ahead and see for the NASDAQ, ideally for me personally, I would like to go ahead and see the NASDAQ come back up around this zone right here, around this $20,000 range, break above it. And it actually looks like Bitcoin has already done this. And we're going to look into that right now, roughly into the charts. But Bitcoin had a really nice pump from $87,000 now to $93,000. But back to the NASDAQ, this is what ideally we want to see with the NASDAQ right now. The second scenario that could potentially be happening, maybe there's a decoupling from the NASDAQ and Bitcoin. That could also be it. But we did see a rally on the stock market as well. So the stock market, the NASDAQ ripped. Market did very, very well today on both sides. Of course, cryptocurrencies always do a lot better, but the stock market did very, very well today. Today was a really, really good day. Now, the question is, will we be able to continue with this momentum? Because keep in mind that we still could be experiencing some sort of resistance. There's a lot of resistance at around this range right here, meaning that if we do break above it, the question is, will we be able to break through or will we get rejected? If we do get rejected, expect the stock market to still have an additional correction. And that could be, as I mentioned, another, unfortunately, 13% correction, which is what we do not want to see. For me personally, I think there might be one last dump before we go ahead and see the market fully reverse. That is just my opinion. I hope I'm wrong. But I think there might be one more dump. Be very, 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 very careful. For me personally right now, I'm not going to do anything aggressive. I will be adding on to some positions, as I mentioned, just a few $100s, just due to the fact that I do not want to go ahead and act emotional to this market, right? Because if we go ahead and take a look at the fear and greed index, which I highly, highly recommend all of you to go ahead and save on a tab on your computer or on your phone. You could even download an application, type in crypto fear and greed. And it's a very, very simple tool. This is why I like it. You don't have to know anything about crypto, technical analysis or anything. It's literally just an index showing us where the fear and greed is in the market. And as you see right here, we are currently at 72, which is now greed. Yesterday, we were at a neutral level at 47. Last week, we were at fear at 29. And last month, we were at fear. So this is the first time in a while that we have been seeing now that greed come in, right? So keep in mind that one thing I do want to go ahead and show you, we have had multiple times where the market kind of just bounces, pumps, everyone gets excited, and then once again, fake out. The market drops even further. So the question is this one of the same scenarios? Like, are we going to actually break through this time, or are we going to go ahead and get rejected again? So just be very, very careful with that. Just want to give you all the heads up. Just be aware with that. As I mentioned, for me personally, ideally, what I would like to go ahead and see for this, in my eyes, to be considered that the downtrend is now broken, I would like to see the NASDAQ approaching these zones right here. Now, one thing that I found very, very interesting is that if we go over to the Bitcoin chart, Bitcoin actually went ahead and made that move way before the NASDAQ did. So as I'm saying, usually the NASDAQ has been a leading indicator, and now it looks like Bitcoin is actually leading the market, which is a very, very good thing, I guess, if you want to call it. But one thing that I want to go ahead and say is that Bitcoin is definitely looking a lot more positive than it has been these last couple months. Now, keep in mind, in my opinion, I feel like the downtrend isn't fully broken. And one thing that I want to go ahead and point out is a very, very common thing where, like, after being on a downtrend where we see a lot of selling pressure, where we do see this kind of breakouts. But also keep in mind, we still have very, very strong areas of resistance right here at around $93,000. As you see, Bitcoin currently right now already seems to be struggling to break through. Now, keep in mind, this is completely normal after seeing Bitcoin literally run up from like the low 83,000s all the way up to high 93. It's very, very normal for now a cool down period to happen, right? So this is what I'm personally looking up for. Listen very, very closely. This is what I'm looking for to see if this is a confirmation that the downside is over. This will be my personal confirmation. What I want to personally see is Bitcoin ideally hold above $84,000 to $85,000. Highly recommend all of you write that down on a piece of paper. For me personally, I would not like to see Bitcoin go any lower than 85. That would be my take. If we could just see Bitcoin hold this range right here and consolidate for a while before we get the next breathing room to try to reattempt this breakout one more time, this for me is going to be a sign that the bottom is already in. The bottom was right here. Bitcoin's bottom is $77,000. We are more than likely not going to see Bitcoin go down any lower. And for me, that is going to be my buying signal. So that is a signal that I'm going to be using to go ahead and start buying aggressively. Now, keep in mind that because of all the excitement that's going on, and I do want to mention what we saw right here is not totally normal behavior. I do want to go ahead and mention that this is liquidations happening. So a lot of people got liquidated shorting Bitcoin and they had a closer position, which pushed the price action up higher. So meaning what basically happened is that we saw a short squeeze happen between $85,000, causing Bitcoin to quickly rise up. So it's not really 100% real buying pressure. Of course, there was buying pressure, a little bit of news with what was being said about tariffs, excitement, and then people getting liquidated and having to close their position. So keep that in mind. What happened here was a short squeeze. We talk about how these short squeezes happen multiple times, and it has happened in the past very, very commonly, right? One of them being back here during around the election time back in November. We do see that we ended up seeing this squeeze of Bitcoin going from $67,000 and then literally squeezing all the way to $76,000 in a day. And this is where the buying momentum came in, excitement came in, and then that pushed Bitcoin all the way to as high as $108,000, $109,000. Now, with that being said, as I mentioned, for me personally, I would like to go ahead and see Bitcoin cool down a little bit. If we could go ahead and slightly come down, the best case, even if we could come down to 88, that would look very, very nice. Just so we can have a little bit more breathing room to try to reattempt this breakout. Because to be completely honest, this is the very most important area we need to break. We need to see Bitcoin break this because Bitcoin has been struggling to break this zone between $95,000 and $100,000. And the reason why I say that is because as you see right here, when Bitcoin tried to break through that, it got rejected, it fell. Try to reattempt that right here one more time, it fell. Another time right here was as well. And right here, it barely even held anything, right? So I'm not even going to count that, but realistically, Bitcoin needs to go ahead and be able to break through this $95,000 to $100,000, ideally, for us to have this continuation to the upside. So keep in mind, too, I wanted to mention that because of all this excitement that is currently going on and could continue to go on, we could actually go ahead and see the market just rip through this tomorrow, realistically. And we might not even see some sort of, I don't want to call it correction, but any cool down periods. We might not even see a cool down period. We might just see the market rip through this $92,000, $93,000 and start approaching this $100,000 either by tomorrow or literally by the end of the week. Now, as I mentioned, we're in no rush. Ideally, I just want to see Bitcoin not go any lower than this $94,000, which is right here. Ideally, I would like to see it hold between 88,000 dollars to 86. I would say write those numbers down. But worst case scenario, like I would say 88 to $84,000. We do not want to see Bitcoin go any lower than 84. That would be the magic number right there. But if we could see Bitcoin slightly cool down a little bit, come back down to $88,000, that would be nice. And then try to have that reattempt to break out. Once this breakout does happen, once we see Bitcoin at approaching this zone right here, once we do break, and I do want to go ahead and mention this, and I know this is a little bit talking more about the future, but once we do see this breakout of Bitcoin approaching $109,000, best believe $120,000 will be around the corner, and we will see a move very, very quickly, like we saw right here back in during the time of the election. So keep in mind that, and this is one of the biggest things that I've always mentioned to all of you, right? This market is very, very volatile. Just like it could fall down very, very quickly, we could also see the narrative change very, very fast. And this is exactly what we're actually seeing in today's market. Now, the question is this false momentum? Is this real volume? Is this fake? Was this just a total short squeeze? Will it actually be able to hold? And for that reason, I am not making any aggressive moves just yet. For me personally, I'm just going to go ahead and wait it out. It doesn't hurt me to wait a few more days, maybe even another week, week and a half, see where things are going. But one thing that I could tell you is things are looking a lot more better and very, very positive. And I'm actually feeling more comfortable personally to start deploying capital. Now, not financial advice. If you're just watching this and you're brand new to crypto, you have no money invested or very, very little money invested. Let's say you have under $10,000 and you're like, John, I feel like I'm underexposed in the market. What should I do? Well, in my opinion, this could be a good time to start buying because this could be the bottom for Bitcoin. $77,000 is more than likely now the bottom. Like I said, I need to see that confirmation first. We did actually see that breakout pattern from this major cup and handle pattern that we talked about, not cup and handle, inverse head and shoulders pattern that we talked about last week. I talked about this last week with Tristan, I believe it was on Thursday, and he mentioned that some analysts too in some major bank talked about the pattern too. And this is what the pattern is. It's an inverse head and shoulders pattern, and as you see, it creates the first shoulder, the head, the shoulder, and then we see that breakout on the neckline. And that's exactly what we actually saw with Bitcoin right here. This is like a textbook pattern. If we actually go ahead and look at this closely right here, this is a textbook pattern, exactly the way it broke out, exactly how we saw this breakout with the neckline. Now, the question is, as I mentioned, will it be able to hold this? Is it what we do not want to see is we do not want to see Bitcoin do a move like this. Because if we see a move like this and we can't break this zone right here, we're more than likely going lower. If we see a move where Bitcoin instead, let me go ahead and delete this real quick so I can clean out my chart. If we instead go ahead and see, wow, I didn't want to actually delete that because I deleted the rest of my other charts. Let's just do it individually. If we actually see Bitcoin hold up pretty well, which seems to be the case, ideally, if we could go ahead and see Bitcoin fall down, even if we see Bitcoin fall down a little bit back to 88, that'd be very nice. And then we could see that reattempt happen one more time. And then over here at these zones, I think Bitcoin's going to run up very, very quickly, especially once we break $109,000 again. Bitcoin's going to be flying to the moon, and I think all the altcoins will also be following suit. So let's go ahead and read a few questions right here before I forget. I apologize. How do I get to the page of the computer I'm looking through decentralized masters but can't find you, or do I go to YouTube? If you go over on YouTube, if you go on the description, you could go down and there's going to be a link down below and it's going to say like join our community or check out our community. Go ahead and click on that link. Escalante Transport found you. How's it going? To buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now could actually be, you can't go wrong with Bitcoin. That's one thing I will say. People have been comparing Bitcoin as digital gold, and as we've been seeing, gold has been ripping through very, very well. So as far as for purchasing Bitcoin, I believe you can never go wrong. Bitcoin does not have the same risk factors as a lot of altcoins. We know that Bitcoin is going to be here more than likely for years. Bitcoin has survived years. When it comes down to like altcoins, that's where you have to be a little bit more careful and very cautious on when to purchase. And for that reason, because I am a little bit more on the aggressive side of investing, and I invested pretty aggressively this last few months. And when we had this market correction, it did take down my portfolio a lot, right? So for that reason, I'm not reacting aggressively right now. I will be doing some small purchases, like I said, a few $100s, but when I'm going to be throwing aggressively a few thousands of dollars is going to be once I start seeing Bitcoin approaches zones. And the reason why is because that's a confirmation. You basically got the sign that the bottom is in. Yes, I might be buying a little bit higher on some altcoins, but my risk factor is lower. So for me personally, I would rather wait for confirmation. Like I said, the breakout did happen, but the question is, will it be able to hold? Because we saw a very similar breakout back right here in March, where we saw Bitcoin go as low as $78,000. And we saw Bitcoin quickly recover all the way up to $94,000 and then fell down. So this is one of the main reasons why I'm not excited about it. I do feel, glad. I'm excited overall. If you want to say that we finally saw something positive in the market. I mean, it's been months of not seeing anything exciting. And if this continues, this is where the fun begins. So for me personally, that's one of the main reasons why I'm not reacting to it, because I do know that this is a very strong area that Bitcoin does struggle to break through. It's a very, very strong area of resistance. And this is what we really, this zone right here, this 94 to $100,000 is what really matters. This is the most important area to go ahead and the most important area to break. Once we break the zone right here, it's off to the races, and we're more than likely seeing like 120 plus Bitcoin in no time. What altcoins are we looking at for better set following? So a few tokens that I'll go ahead and provide you guys down below. One of them being for sure Sui. I think Sui has some pretty good potential. I mean, we're also seeing Sui react very, very positively. From a technical standpoint, I do want to go ahead and point out that this is also a resistance for Sui and a lot of altcoins that will be following what Bitcoin is doing. So be very, very careful right now. Slowly buy in. If this is getting you excited and this is the sign that you needed, scale in very slowly. Do not get aggressive just yet. For example, if you want to get aggressive for like a token like Sui, this goes for most of the altcoins because they will be following Bitcoin. If you can see Sui hold to 80, then that's when you can get aggressive. And if you want to get a confirmation to get aggressive, it's this $3 mark. This is where you really, really, really now could get aggressive with your investment, because now you know the bottom is in right here. Now you may ask, John, I'm going to be buying at a higher price. Yes, you are buying at a higher price if you wait till it hits $3, but you're also minimizing your risk, because keep in mind, we're still at a very strong area of resistance. This could still go down like this. So you could either go ahead and take on the risk right now, buy in right now, know that there could be a possibility that we could either fall down or consolidate here for a while. And you can basically front run your position. So if you do start throwing in money now, or you were throwing money right here, you're going to do very, very well. But if you want to go ahead and play it a little bit safer, and you want to actually know that, this is the bottom, then ideally you would want to be buying at around this $3 mark. This minimizes your risk. And that goes for a lot of the altcoins. So I'd say SUI. Another token I would consider looking into that I'm personally looking into is Aerodrome. Aerodrome's also looking pretty good as well. This is something that I pointed out last week that I mentioned could happen. So I think one more drop could happen. I hope I'm right on this. I hope there is one more drop, because I would definitely load up on that dip. But if there is one more drop, that's where I'm going to aggressively be buying, because I think that's where most people are going to be super, super bearish. But this is what I drew out with Aerodrome. Same thing goes with Aerodrome. I think Aerodrome's a really good purchase to consider. Another one is VeChain. VeChain's an older token, VET, ticker symbol VET. VeChain is in regards to real world assets. Highly recommend all of you to check that out as well. It's been out for years. XLM, of course, for my XRP maxis out there. If you're an XRP maxi, smash that like button. But XLM, XRP, I think you can't go wrong with XRP this cycle. Do not get influenced into selling your XRP bags too early. Even though I will be honest with all of you, XRP is not going to go to $100 this cycle. I'm sorry to break it to you, but I will say that XRP will do very, very well, and I do believe we'll be leading this altcoin market. So XRP, XLM, in my opinion, those are almost I don't like to say the word guaranteed bets, but those are positions that are going to do very, very well for you. I mean, XRP has been holding up very, very well. Same thing with XRP doing this massive cup and handle, or sorry, not cup and handle pattern, inverse head and shoulders pattern. Once we do see this breakout, we're going to see XRP back onto the races, chasing new highs. So things are looking a lot better, guys. Like I said, I do not want to get too excited just yet, because we saw a very similar pattern back in February, where XRP was also forming this inverse head and shoulders pattern with a cup and handle pattern. And what ended up actually happening was it couldn't break out of the neckline. It got rejected and it fell down lower. So this is one of the main reasons why I'm personally waiting for a confirmation. But if you do start buying right now, it could reward you very, very well in the next coming weeks. And I think this bottom probably is already in. But one thing that I could tell you is that we are near the end of this volatility to the downside happening. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of buying pressure coming in the next coming weeks, and it's going to be a very fun week. But another token that I would consider looking at is Sushi. Sushi is the swap that I walked you guys through in the beginning of the live stream on how to purchase USD1. Sushi is a token last cycle that performed very, very well. It actually went ahead and hit over, I think $20, $30, $23. And currently right now, Sushi, if you were to buy at these levels and it reaches all its previous all-time high, this is a 38x. Meaning if you put $1,000 in Sushi and Sushi reaches its previous all-time high from last cycle, you would be making over $38,000 out of just that $1,000, right? So keep that in mind. High risk, high reward, but Sushi is a utility token, has been out for years. And I think that decentralized tokens are one of the best ways to have exposure to every side of the market, right? So Sushi runs in within the narrative of Aerodrome, which Aerodrome is also a decentralized exchange token. So this is basically like an exchange, a decentralized exchange where people buy and sell tokens. So why not invest in the platform that allows people to buy and sell tokens, and also buy and sell meme coins, and also provide liquidity, right? So that's why, to me personally, I've always been a big fan when it comes to DeFi tokens. Another token that's a little bit more in the higher risk would be Degen. Degen is a layer 3 on Base. This one is a lot more of a higher risk. As I mentioned, this one could possibly give you another additional 10x return. This one has already corrected over 80%. Degen is, you could actually make the purchase on Degen on Coinbase as well. So all these tokens that I'm naming, you could go ahead and open up your Coinbase and make these purchases. Maybe other exchanges, maybe also Kraken has a few, but Coinbase for sure, all the tokens that I'm naming, you'll be able to go ahead and just open up your application, put them on your watch list, take a look at them. Another one too, if you want to have that higher risk exposure, Shiba Inu, which is the meme token that's been out for years. For everyone that loves those meme coins, stick to the blue chip meme coins. Blue chip meme coins are meme coins that have been going on for years, such as Dogecoin, Shiba Inu. Those are the meme coins that you can't go wrong being exposed to if you have a little bit more of that riskier edge. Don't be buying those brand new tokens that launch in like a day and like, or you think they're going to go to the moon, especially the ones that YouTubers are pumping. You have to be very, very careful. Usually they're using you as exit liquidity. So be very, very careful when it comes to lower cap meme coins. And when you go on YouTube and people are pushing it heavily, you do not want to go ahead and do that. So another meme coin too would be Pepe. Pepe is a pretty good blue chip meme coin if you want to have exposure to a little bit more risk, right? These are meme coins that have been going on for years. Nothing bad has happened yet. Of course, always know there's risk, but these meme coins have been going on for years already. Pepe has been going on for 3 or 4 years, I believe. Shiba has been going on for over 5 years, maybe 6 years. Dogecoin has been going on for longer than that. So these are meme coins that have been going on for years, not the new meme coin that just came out yesterday, right? So, of course, my favorite would be Solana. I think Solana has a lot of growth too this cycle. I think we could definitely see a lot more upside on Solana. A lot of controversy was going on with Solana, so that's why we're seeing the shift into Ethereum tokens. As I talked to all of you and I mentioned that these last couple months that we will be seeing that shift going into Base. And as we're seeing it now, this is actually proven data that we're seeing more people interacting with Base chain than Solana. Solana hasn't really had that much compared to Base, which is at 4.6 billion in inflows. So more people having more activities on DeFi with Base, as I believe so. Same thing with Arbitrum. So we're seeing more layer 2s in Solana. So keep that in mind. But with that being said, I still think Solana is going to do very, very well this cycle. You can't go wrong with something like Solana. Of course, not financial advice. Another token to go ahead and take a look at. Let's see what other token I could think of on top of my head. Say. You can't go wrong with Say. Say has a very unique community, which I would recommend all of you checking out for Say. But for Say, we're seeing also Say corrected quite a bit. It actually went as low as 12 cents. But yeah, a lot of good things looking very, very positive for the market. Okay, so Transport is saying, where do I buy, what platforms, and after I buy, what is the next step? So basically, you just go buy on Coinbase and you just hold on to it. You just set up a dollar cost average strategy. If that is something that you're looking for more additional support, check out our link down below in the description, where we actually have a private community where we actually go ahead and provide a free masterclass down below. So as you see right here, I just went ahead and posted that little sign. Click down below in the description for a free DeFi masterclass. But yeah, guys, things are looking very, very positive. Markets are looking good. I'm not going to get too excited just yet, but I will say that this is the most positive we have been in the last few months. And I've been pretty bearish with this market since December. So markets are looking really good. With that being said, unfortunately, I do have to go ahead and get going. I do have a class to teach with our private community, which is my advanced session. So for all of those that are in our private community, I'll go ahead and catch you guys on my office hours right now shortly. Unfortunately, I do have to go ahead and get running, but we will be going live as well on Thursday with Tristan, which is our other mentor here at Decentralized Masters. So I'd highly, highly recommend you guys, if you guys are brand new to the channel, smash that like button. But most importantly, turn on post notifications on. We go live twice a week, providing you as much information when it comes to DeFi, the crypto market, charts, and overall news of what's going on. So if that sounds like something that you definitely want to go ahead and stay in touch with, go ahead and turn on that post notifications on. And for all of those that are my students and that are going to be showing up for the office hours that I have literally in a minute, I'll see you guys soon. With that being said, I'll catch all of you guys on to the next one. Happy Tuesday, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. Take care. Bye.